Sleep deprivation. It affects their job, their home life. At Room to Room, we want to take the guesswork out of buying a mattress, and that's why we brought in this technology. It shows you what you need. We want to do the assessment and find exactly what's perfect for you.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, hello there, I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. Welcome in the Mississippi Live Weather at 5 on a blisteringly hot Tuesday. I think this is probably the peak of the heat, which has been near record levels for some locations today. And we do anticipate going forward that we're going to see at least what is gradual relief and then more significantly cooler air in the extended forecast. Of course, we welcome you in the Room to Room Weather Center as we are, of course, dealing with this peak August heat. We are, again, in some locations, I think it was Greenwood, correct there? Greenwood, and we'll check in with our meteorologist Gabe Maynor on that in a minute. Right there, very near record high temperature territory for today. A lot of times when we have heat like this, it's difficult for it to crack records because we have to actually be dry enough to get the temperature up to that record levels. Either way, extremely hot with those excessive heat advisories and, of course, those extreme heat warnings for many spots. Spotty storms on the way again, I think, for Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but we have a couple out there we're tracking this afternoon. Again, that relative relief is showing up in temperatures, but it's actually the moisture levels that are more manageable that maybe makes the bigger difference in the extended forecast. Of course, we'll look at that in a couple. But outside right now in Crenshaw, it is 106 for that heat index. That feels like temperature coming in 99 degrees. And again, not a lot of vertical development on any of the clouds out there. Again, our showers fairly spotty in nature where they are showing up. Winona, 97. Again, similar to what we had in Crenshaw, feels like 106. A little bit more development on that one there. There have been a couple of showers closer to the Winona area. And of course, appreciate the North Mississippi Storm Chasers for that. 6 p.m., we're looking at about only 10% on that rain coverage, 94 degrees, the temperature, 83 by 9 p.m. We're 79s, look toward midnight, and back into the mid 70s by the first part of early morning on your Wednesday. Again, normal this time of year, somewhere low 70s to mid 70s, so a little bit above that even for tomorrow. Though a slight shift there, again, those northeasterly winds keeping us from being quite as sticky as maybe some other spots. We do have some clouds trying to bubble up there. This one glaciating there as we're looking kind of in a south-southwesterly direction. You see how it gets kind of fuzzy there versus more crisp in other spots. They're having a difficult time breaking through, but where they are doing that, we're getting a little bit of precipitation. Look at Mississippi Live Weather Radar. We've again had a few there in and around the Greenwood area over the last hour or so. We'll make this a 1 hour loop here. You can see how we had one south of town's kind of fell apart, and then we were looking there between Winona and Greenwood there near the Carrollton area. One little shower. Notice how quickly it's there. It's just kind of at its peak right now. These are not going to be particularly long-lived. So if I track that one, we'll say this would be really a stretch, but 16 miles per hour back toward the south and west. We'd get that there toward Malmason at about 524, Valley Hill 539 there in Centerville by about 539 as well. We wind things out. One little pop up there closer to Water Valley. Most of our showers and thunderstorms have been back out into Arkansas today. Did have a severe thunderstorm warning out that direction just in the last few minutes here. That one allowed to expire there south of the Little Rock area. Coming in closer again, north and west of Coffeyville. Not a long distance away, but we do show that about 4 miles northwest of Coffeyville, 11 miles southwest of Water Valley. One little shower there in Yalobusha County. See, flared up and now has gone through the collapsing phase. So these are extremely isolated in nature where they are occurring out there. Outside our camera coming in the Batesville area, looking down in that direction, 99 degrees, where we did have, again, that shower a little bit ago. This is kind of the leftover stuff from that as we generally look southward. 106. Man, that's a common number for that heat index today, 106, which would qualify it at heat advisory levels. And of course, we do have a lot of spots where that is the case. Just a couple of pop-ups there near Sardis. I'm going to put this again into motion for you. You'll notice we've had just the smallest of small little flare-ups of showers like the ones up here in Prentiss County, but even these near the altitude community. Watch this loop here. I mean, difficult to track. That is barely moving, maybe creeping westward at about 2 miles per hour. It'll fall apart before it even makes it all the way through Hills Chapel there. And certainly that one doesn't make it to Boonville. Maybe we could see another one that tries to kind of develop from that. But again, that's kind of more the exception to the rule there. And as we kind of widen things out just a little bit more, you can see our alerts for today. Most of us under those heat advisories, those in effect through this evening at 8 p.m. Excessive heat warnings, extreme heat warnings, locations back out in the Delta. But this is the peak of the heat. From here, things get a bit more manageable going forward. Thankfully. On the wide shot here again, it is all those locations in the Delta back there through Jackson and Natchez under those extreme heat warnings, the highest level heat alert that the National Weather Service puts out. And those heat indices remain very high in many, many spots back west. Just look at the pinks, pretty much any of those spots that are under those advisories. We do have some of those, of course, into the eastern part of Mississippi. Starkville coming in 106 for what it feels like. I mean, near 110 there, Monroe back toward Greenville at this point in time. So Mississippi Live Weather Radar, as you'll note on the wide shot here, not showing again a ton of active weather in our area, though some thunderstorms back up there into locations in the Missouri boot heel. As we widen things a little bit more, one of the big factors that we continue to watch is air, and this is a visible satellite loop over the last 6 hours here. Of course, we're losing the sunlight, so it's more difficult to see, but not a very well defined eye on the satellite perspective there, but you can clearly see just the ripples showing up in some of the clouds there, that this is a pretty impressive area of circulation with that center of this. So strong remains Category 2 storm and is expected to intensify throughout the next 24 hours. Our meteorologist Gabe Maynard tracking the exact track of that coming up. As you can see, of course, we do have those advisories in effect, including tropical storm warnings for the outer banks there of the Carolinas. So that system there is going to work its way northward. We are still, far enough west to be avoiding most of the impacts related to that. Though you'll notice here on our Futurecast, I think overdoing the intensity of the storms just a little bit. But one thing it does have, and I think the positioning is a little bit off there, has that batch of thunderstorms we're looking at there near the Missouri boot here. We talked about that a minute ago there, and still has some of those trying to work in. So I think the positioning could be considerably off on where it's showing it, but that does indicate it's possible our coverage of rainfall increases a bit more later on tonight. By the time we're live with Mississippi Live Weather at 10 o'clock, could have a more active radar scope there showing up for our meteorologist Gabe Maynard. In general, though, still spotty in nature and mostly, again, below severe limits, but some of those, even 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, still trying to linger. Those running ahead of this, a cold front. Can I legitimately call this a cold front, Gabe?
I would say, relatively speaking, it is going to bring some cooler relief. So we can call it a cold front or a cool front. How about that?
Did you hear the caveat words in there? I think, relatively speaking,
because it's summer.
It is summer, and I put you on the spot on that one there, because the reality is that it is cooler, it is drier, it is not cold, but it is impactful, and what I think a lot of folks have been hoping for, we do have that. Now, ahead of that, you will note that we do still have a couple isolated showers kind of running ahead of that northern part of the state here, maybe even into tomorrow morning, certainly better chances into the afternoon. One of our banner chances for rainfall that we have. You'll notice in the morning there's that limited chance we were looking at a moment ago from 75 at 6 a.m. or 84 degrees by 9 a.m., looking back to around 96. It is not cool tomorrow, not by any stretch. We're still ahead of that front largely. You do see that shift in the winds more to the north. That starts to bring in less humid air and slightly cooler air. And those two differences there, while the modifier words are not extreme, start making a difference, and rain chances increasing around 40% as that boundary moves into the area from the north and west. Of course, we're tracking that with Futurecast here in 60 seconds. We're looking ahead at the latest stats related to Aaron as well, and you want to see the 7-day forecast. It finally has something that, for folks that are hoping for false or
fake, it works.
Hey, we at least said the second word there, fall. It's not going to be true, but we are seeing at least an impact. Gabe has that for you in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live Weather continues live from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Your family deserves the most beautiful smile possible. At Tupelo Smiles, we use precision dentistry and advanced technology to make visiting the dentist an amazing experience. Relationship-based comprehensive care. Come discover the difference at Tupelo Smiles.
At Absolute Restoration, our team will feel magical, since our focus is on serving you and your roofing needs. Finding a roofer who actually shows up and communicates, that's just one of the problems we solve by informing you of every step in the process.
Selling premium roofing systems backed by warranties and payment plans starting at just $99 per month. Trust Absolute Restoration to deliver.
Experience unicorn-level service and affordability from a team your community trusts. Call Absolute Restoration today.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Gabe Maynard.
Welcome back into the Room to Room Weather Center here at Mississippi Live Weather at 5. We're going to start with the continuation of looking across the area at the extreme heat we've been experiencing. 99 feels like 109. Sorry, Matt, I had to break that 106 threshold, but Monroe County just a little bit more muggy as we head out the door, so make sure to, of course, stay hydrated and stay cool. Beyond that, taking a look out of the Edinburgh area, 93 feeling like 102. That's actually not a bad forecast for today, comparatively speaking to what we've been seeing across the area. So there are areas that are slightly cooler, but it's still that above average forecast nonetheless. Mabin down there in Oktibbeha County, 97 feeling like 106. So it's just going to be a hot and muggy forecast no matter where you're at. But the fortunate news is that we've kind of peaked today, and then we'll head into better conditions moving on beyond this point. Lafayette County towards Oxford, 97 feeling like 104. And you see some of those sharper clouds showing that they have a better opportunity to produce some of those pop-up showers. Still a ways away from it, but basically along I-55 and further out west, your best chances of seeing those showers take place. That severe weather risk is still a level 1. It's just outside of our viewing area on the northwest side of the state. And you can see that level 1 threshold extending into Arkansas, and that's where Matt was tracking a few of those severe thunderstorm warned storms a few moments earlier, just a couple minutes ago. So fortunate that we're not getting that weather, but trust me, we will take some rainfall. Looking at those rain chances, primarily going to be out ahead of this frontal boundary. And that frontal boundary is acting as that forcing mechanism paired with that Gulf moisture. Those two things combined, slapped together, well, you get some isolated chances once that front gets here. And we're about 24 hours away before it starts to move in and before we start to really feel the effects of it. As we look out of our Memphis radar site, just basically getting that leading edge, following this outflow boundary, it looks like. And as that outflow boundary leans a little bit further ahead, well, of course, those storms will diminish just a bit in strength. Some isolated showers do move into our area heading into the late evening and overnight hours, and we're watching that through a complex over there in northern Tennessee. Just how far do these reach south and how much do they move into the area? Of course, looking at that at now at 6 and of course at 10 here on Mississippi Live Weather. Whenever we look at those pop-up showers here in North Mississippi right now, our heaviest portion out there towards Carroll County, there around Greenwood, basically going right across Highway 82 as we speak. So that's our best chance of rainfall. But some more pop-up showers out there towards Clarksdale, going to be moving closer to Highway 61, so watching that in more detail. But I mean, when we're tracking it that specifically, it shows you that rain chances aren't very good, and a lot of us not getting that rain-cooled relief. So day planner keeps chances very limited, but right around 20% by 7 to 10, just a result of that complex that starts to move into the northern half of the state. We are going to experience a few drops of rainfall, but again, not going to be widespread impact. So that's the unfortunate part about it, because we want that rain-cooled relief. We also just want rainfall in general. Here's your futurecast, and it does showcase those isolated showers right along I-55 and further out west. But there's that complex that tries to move into the northern half of our viewing area closer to about 8, 9, and 10 o'clock. Now, is it going to be this widespread? It's an uphill battle, and we're not expecting it to be so, but a few of those pop-up showers definitely included within that, to where I believe that we will be tracking this on Mississippi Live Weather at 10, at least for a few of those cells as they move on through. Some heavier downpours over there towards Prentiss, Alcorn, Tippah, and Benton County, even extending as far west as Lafayette County. So this is just going to be that complex that pushes further in, continues to build south, and by 2, 3 o'clock is when we'll finally get calmer conditions. So unfortunately for the northeast part of our area, basically north of Highway 6 and east of 45, best chances of getting a few of those showers, and honestly, wouldn't be surprised to hear a few rumbles of thunder as you head to bed this evening. So just a little precursor knowledge, but don't be alarmed, no severe weather is expected. Wednesday morning, waking up and heading out the door, those pop-up showers still lingering because we are out ahead of that frontal boundary. So low temperatures tomorrow morning with that blanket of cloud cover keeps those mild temperatures around low to mid 70s across the region, with a few upper 70s still popping up towards Greenville, showing up at about 77. So taking the kids to school, drop off going to be about 76 degrees, 89 towards lunchtime, and last bell 95. Yes, it is still hot, but feels a little bit better than what we had today. That's something we can look forward to. And even tomorrow, That'll be the highest temperatures we'll see in that 7 days. So just continuing to trend in that cooler direction with those limited rain chances paired with it. I mean, that's not a bad forecast compared to what we've been seeing the past 48 hours. And you see that 20% coverage for our morning commute. That's going to be very isolated in nature as that front continues to shift further south. A lot of those rain chances coming out ahead of that front. So that's going to actually supply us with some better rain chances moving into our Wednesday. Still spotty in nature, but better chances for us whenever we talk about the grand scheme of things and relatively speaking to what we saw today. Wednesday around lunchtime, still very isolated in nature, but watch how these chances really start to climb heading into our afternoon and evening. Those chances just start to develop more and more, and a few of those heavy downpours definitely popping up. Eupora, one to mention there by 3 o'clock out there towards Cleveland along the Mississippi River associated with that as well. Those become a little bit more widespread by 4, 5, even there towards 6 o'clock, especially out ahead of that front as that front continues to push on through. I'm very excited for Mississippi Live Weather at 5 tomorrow because we're talking about rain and we're talking about some better temperatures as well. So 6 p.m. those chances continue to linger, but luckily that rain cold air at least takes back those temperatures just a bit. Upper 90s is still in the forecast. Greenwood, Belzona, and Greenville 99. But we're seeing 91 over there towards Marshall County, 92 Boonville, Iuka, Red Bay. So they are trending in the right direction and again, only getting better from there. Heat indices, where that rain cold air moves in, of course, double digits expected, but triple digits still going to be the theme of the day with the drier locations here in North Mississippi, just a result of the lack of rain cold air we'll be receiving in some spots. 8 p.m. those chances continue to linger and they will basically sit there southern part of our area where that front has not moved through just yet. As the front clears, some drier conditions move on the back end of this, and that'll keep our rain chances very limited for our Thursday and very limited for our Friday. Here's a look at Futurecast towards your Thursday afternoon. Not very much in coverage, and this is usually one of our more aggressive models. Our strike model up there usually likes to forecast a bit more of the rainfall aspect, but even that's taken a step back. So we're not very high on rain chances, but at least keeping a few of those spotty showers in our forecast in that extended look. But Matt was talking about better temperatures, and he was exactly right. So far on our Thursday, upper 80s actually showing up there towards Prentiss, Alcorn, and Tishomingo County. Marshall County, 88 as well. 92 Bruce, 91 Houston, 89 Oxford, and down south, even 95 there towards Belzona. So down south's trending a little bit better as well. Heat indices showing a lot more double digits, so I think those heat advisories will even be pulled back to no warnings or no advisories by the time we get towards our Thursday and Friday forecast. Forecasted rainfall, this is over the next 3 days, and you can see that there are some higher outputs there, especially around the Golden Triangle. Now, this is going to be very dependent on where that front moves through, how quickly that front moves through, and just what impacts we'll be able to see associated with it. So tracking that, of course, but rain chances diminished from there. 40% by Wednesday, drops to 20 Thursday and Friday, and then 10 heading into that extended forecast. And honestly, guys, 10% might be a little bit of a stretch because, our forecast gets so much drier. Looking at that forecast, we're going to see mostly sunny skies with plenty of sunshine for our weekend. And there's a look at your temperatures. Yes, a great sight to see on that 7-day. 88 degrees by Monday, 86 by Tuesday. And that's not the only good news we're seeing. Drier air paired with it. And let's add a third thing to that list. Low temperatures dropping into the low 70s for the latter part of our work week this week. Upper 60s by Monday, mid 60s by Tuesday. And one of the things we'll be walking through are those dew points, which is a measure of moisture in the atmosphere. We'll be walking through that tonight at 6 for the very latest. And trust me, it is a sight that you will have to see to believe, to say the least. But let's jump back into the tropics because that is a big storyline as we're walking through the next couple of days. Tropical storm warnings now in effect for that Carolina coast out there towards the Outer Banks. Not just tropical storm warnings, but those tropical storm watches are in effect for the Virginia Beach and over there towards Maryland. So we're watching that heading into the next 24 to 48 hours as Hurricane Aaron continues to trend north. The satellite imagery of Aaron just shows the absolute beast of a storm it still is, despite it dropping down to a Category 2. Now, as we walk through that extended track, it is expected to increase ever so slightly, not exactly in category, but in wind speeds. So 4 p.m. advisory showcases 105 miles an hour, 958 on that pressure level. And as we track that up the East Coast, we basically see 105 increase to about 110 towards Wednesday afternoon. That'll be around that same threshold towards Thursday afternoon. Basically, as we get those winds wrapping around there towards North Carolina and Virginia. So really hoping that this kind of steers a little bit more east, but we could see some impacts with some tropical storm force winds over there towards North Carolina. So hopefully it doesn't produce anything, but we're definitely grateful that this, for the most part, is staying out at sea and not impacting our area too much, especially not here in North Mississippi. But beyond that forecast, as we walk into our Friday, it already starts to diminish in strength, and we'll see that Category 1 strength by the time we get towards our Saturday afternoon and towards our Sunday, dropping back down to a tropical storm. You see, it basically outlines the whole entire Atlantic coast of the United States, so we're fortunate that this is saying, for the most part, a fish storm and impacting us very little with some of those stronger wind gusts along the coastlines of North Carolina and Virginia. So we'll be walking through Aaron in more detail coming up tonight at 6, but like I said, we're going to be walking through those temperatures in much more detail and much more enthusiasm as we head into that extended forecast. All of that coming up on Mississippi Live Weather at 6. You can, of course, track that forecast using the Mississippi Live Weather app, iOS and Android. Make sure to head to your app store today, scan the QR code on your screen. It'll take you directly to that app. And we, again, thank you guys so much for just supporting us through all of this and just trusting us with your weather information. We'll be back on at Mississippi Live Weather at 6 p.m. and, of course, at 10 p.m. for the very latest on those rain chances, fingers crossed, but also the very latest on Aaron and those better temperatures moving forward. We'll see you back here in just a couple of minutes.
Friday night, August 22nd, WWE Hall of Famer Rikishi tag teams with Memphis Wrestling to raise money for St. Jude. Join us at the Tupelo Super Show. Reserve your seat at memphiswrestling.tv.
Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.